Yeah, it's Wednesday. What up, though? Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the sports show that we call Game Time Audible. I am your boy E Beezy, Eric Buck, and that is the man himself, the sports guru Hugh Lee. And we are ready to get it in, y'all. We ready to talk some sports with y'all today. We back on our
Yes,
normal
sir.
time to do it. So let's do that. What you got to say to him, Hugh?
Yeah, man, definitely ready to do the show, man. Said y'all, whole WrestleMania was everything I wanted it to be, but now it's time to get back to the basics with the show.
All right, so yeah, we talking a little bit of everything today, y'all. We got some football talk a little bit. We're gonna talk some baseball, some basketball. We're gonna talk a little soccer talk. I got a couple of things in regards to that. We're also gonna talk about the Olympics because the Olympics is 100 days away. It is officially 100 days away today, and there's certain things we need to talk about in regards to that. And we actually want to talk a little WNBA because guess what? The WNBA draft is tomorrow, and it's gonna be kind of interesting. We'll talk about that. But nonetheless, we're gonna get into all of that. But as we usually do at this time, we're gonna take a commercial break. So that gives y'all time to get set up, grab your drink, your chips, your beer, whatever it is you like to chill with,
Popcorn ready.
share with your buddies. Remember, also in regards to what we're talking about, we definitely want to talk to you guys too. So if you got some sports interests that you want to throw in the mix, so we can talk about them as well, we are more than willing to do that. So that being said, y'all, this is Game Time Audible. That man right there with the little gray right there, yeah, that's Hugh Lee right there. And me here and the fade here, yeah, that's EB, that's me. And we will be back, the both of us, after these commercial messages because we got to prep and talk about the other people and the fine thing that we call the Nighthawk Network. Let's talk about it.
Nikki. Let's talk. Let's Nikki. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Nikki. Let's talk. Nikki.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Nighthawk Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love.
Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
One.
Hi everybody, I'm Lily and today I want to share my book with the whole entire world. I would read you the book, but one day you might not buy it. Thanks for going on this adventure to the aquarium with me. Bye! At the bottom of the screen to see where you can buy the book. And make sure you don't forget to like and subscribe. video thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel.
The views and or opinions expressed here on Gametime Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. All right, y'all. We are back here with Game Time Audible. I am Eric Buckner, also known as Big E. That is Hugh Lee, also known as the Sports Guru. We are here to talk sports with you guys this evening. We got some folks checking in here, Hugh. Hello, everyone. What's going on, Miss Pat?
Miss Pat.
H2 in the room. H2 in the building. Hello, Lane. Nikki's granddaughter is beautiful. Yes, shout out to Lily, the youngest working member of the Nighthawk Network. Always appreciate that kid there. Hey, Miss Pat, everybody saying hi to everybody else. So, yeah, without further ado, Hugh, we about to go on ahead and get it in.
Yes, sir.
All right, the choice to you. Which one you want to start out with first this evening, sir?
Man, I got some breaking news for you, E, man. If you ain't heard it already, man, I got two things that you wasn't aware of right now, man. Donald might be in trouble with the law, man. Attorney filed assault charges against him, man. He beat up a dude pretty bad in Pittsburgh. And TMZ had it on their TMZ Sports. And I'm going to show you the picture when I get a chance. It was very brutal, man. That guy got beat up pretty bad. I don't know what happened or what made the altercation go down, but it seems like he's like a quiet type of person. But if you ruffle his feathers, then he will probably do something to you. I just don't think Aaron Donald's out there going around just beating up people. He's too big. The dude looked like a Incredible Hulk, man. So whatever provoked him, not saying is right what he did, but I definitely am interested to get into more of that or to see what happened and what comes out of it. Because he definitely, the guy he fought, definitely got the bad end of this.
Okay, Miss Pastor, she saw that today. Okay, well, like I said, not knowing the whole situation, but here's the deal. Of course, we have Aaron Donald, who is not just an NFL football player, but one of the better ones in the league, one of the more well-known and highly publicized people in the league. So because, of course, he is from Pittsburgh and he went to school down there in Pittsburgh as well, I'm sure that's probably why he was down there, but also know that because a lot of people in that area in particular probably know who he is, perhaps it was a scenario where that person looked to set him up. Because as you know, when people know you are a famous athlete, boxer, what have you, have large amounts of money, there are those who will take advantage of that situation and try to anger you and goat you, knowing that if you cause them bodily harm, that sets them up for a potential lawsuit. So maybe that is the situation. But then again, we don't know. So as we get more information, we will have that understanding. But sadly, of course, you have to think, well, here go another brother in trouble with the law, and they're going to basically run that into the ground. But if he was a person that was not of melanin, a white person, a Caucasian person, would this be as big a story? Okay, Ms. Patterson, he must have been provoked. That's a very good possibility.
I definitely feel so.
So, yeah, perhaps that is part of what happened. But like I said, we don't know. But we will move on. What else we got, Hugh?
Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Cleveland Browns today. He signed a one-year contract.
I'm familiar with. Okay, let's get into that.
Getting close, and then they finally decided once he passed the physical, they already were having him play for the team. That's all he had to do was just pass the physical. Now, it was strange to me that he wasn't interested last year, and now all of a sudden he's all in.
All right, we got Coach V checking in. What's going on, Coach V? Congratulations, sir. Coach V. Get his coach on. Let us know what team you coaching, Coach V. You know we want to have you on the social. We can talk to you about your new coaching gig. So make sure you hit us up on that.
Congratulations,
Coach V, one of the fan supporters here at the Nighthawk Network. Got a new coaching gig. Definitely want to talk about that with that. He's been looking forward to another coaching opportunity. He has found it, and hopefully he is happy in that. let us know the whole info, Coach. We definitely want to have your own party, bro. But yeah, that being said, the Davian Clowney at this point in his career, because he has been injured so often, and many people know that and consider that in regards to what type of money you will give him. On the one hand, when healthy, he is definitely one of the better defensive players in the National Football League. But because he is constantly not healthy, and that goes back to his college days, even you don't know to what extent or how long you're going to have him. So yeah, I'm not surprised that a team like Cleveland, which normally probably would not have an opportunity to sign a Jacobian Clowney, especially for what appears to be a lesser rate. I mean, keep in mind, $10 million, that's still a nice salary, even in the NFL. But
Absolutely.
that being said, you have to wonder what exactly are you paying for? Are you paying for a whole 17 games of Jacobian Clowney? Are you paying for half a season? Are you paying for just 2 or 3 games? We do not know. So how good a deal that is depends on one, his productivity, and two, whether or not he is able to stay healthy. So we got that going. But yeah, I definitely familiar with the second story, not so much the first. But okay, so that being said, we can talk in football now. As you know, let's talk about the latest. Of course, they're doing a lot of the pro days of late, in particular with the quarterbacks, because as we know, a lot of teams have traded up in the last few weeks, and the thought process is the first four or maybe even the first five picks in this year's draft will be quarterbacks. So there's been a lot of evaluation in regards to quarterbacks. In fact, today, uh, the young man from out of Ohio State, he in turn has gone and done a second pro day, so they can actually access him more. And one of the things that he implemented in his pro day was doing some of the plays that some of the teams that he knew was coming to check him out were going to run. So he wanted to show those teams that he is capable of running those plays. Do you think that's a wise idea, Hugh?
I think that was a good idea because just a lot of teams going to be interested in him, man. I definitely feel like he has a strong upside. And it's just a good opportunity for him to show his talent because a lot of people, unfortunately, look at the black male quarterbacks who's coming out of college. They look at them more like running backs. That's why people in the past made fun a la Lamar Jackson and say, not so bad for a running back, when they do well in the quarterback, position. But yeah, they always label them like, well, yeah, I don't think you'll be ready for the pros, so you should go ahead and be a running back. But I just really feel like with him, man, he's just special, man. Like I was saying, he's like on that Deshaun Watson level. I don't want to jinx him yet because he could have a bad injury or who knows. But I definitely feel like this kid's the truth. Definitely, if you didn't see it before, the way they beat up on, and what surprised me, they whipped Clemson. And I've never thought that that'd happen. I thought it was going to be Clemson, Alabama all over again. I kind of looked past Ohio State, and he showed us something, man. And that tape right there alone should show you this guy's about his business. And I really think he'd excel on the next level.
Right. Now, see, the interesting thing is that some people are saying he may want to consider the possibility of holding off because the understanding is that he does have an agent, but he is not set up in that agent way. In other words, because there are extra eligibility for people and the fact that he's just a junior anyway, there's a possibility that if he don't like where his placement is necessarily going to be viewed upon, that he can go ahead and come on back for his senior season. I'm interested to see if anybody actually makes that move in regards to their draft status, because that is the understanding that the NFL has this year that because of COVID and COVID considerations, they are allowing certain people to have that as an option, as to opposed to how it would normally be, where okay, you drafted, now come on out. So I'm interested to see if that plays anything in regards to these top 10 picks or the draft overall, for that matter. But like I said, teams still seem to be jockeying for position, and clearly, whatever these first five picks is, whether they're quarterbacks or not, that's going to dictate the rest of that first round and probably the rest of the draft as far as certain teams go.
I can definitely see that too because there's going to be a quarterback heavy draft right here. And it's unfortunate sometimes they reach for players, but this year I feel like the
Hey,
first two are going to be short things.
We got Ro checking in from YouTube. We got Aunt Nikki checking in. What's going on, Aunt Nikki? Thank you all for checking in to the show this evening. So yeah, we got that going on as far as NFL goes. You know, the hot stove league will continue to boil over. We'll still have signings and whatnot. Any of the major things we of course will address. But of course, as we know, we are in the midst of basketball season as we get close to the playoff run there. And of course, we got baseball and Olympics coming up. So we definitely want to talk about all of those today. Nikki saying, hey, Hugh.
Hey, what's going on?
So yeah, we got that going on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another small commercial break. When we come back, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk our basketball because there's a very interesting trend that's going on in basketball, y'all. And I definitely want to talk about that along as also what's going on in terms of who's winning, who's losing, what their playoff chances look like, and all that good stuff. So let's have that discussion when we get back with more Game Time Audible with that guy right there, Hugh, and with this guy right here, me.
Yes, sir.
Be on the lookout for Israel's Room. That's Israel's Room, coming soon as part of the Nighthawk Network.
What up, y'all? We are back. Game Time Audible. That is Hugh. I am Eric. But of course, Helena says we might hear of something else. Y'all remind me of Men on Film. Just joking. That comment, Helena, hated it.
All right, man.
You're not funny at all, homie. But anyway, I definitely want to talk about that also, Ro. We definitely gonna have that discussion. Yes, the WNBA draft actually is tomorrow, so we will definitely include that in our basketball talk this evening. Yep, want to talk about that as well. So that being said, from the suggestion line, before we move on to basketball, let us talk about football. Go ahead and point out what you just said there, Hugh.
Yeah, man. We can see this as a trend, man. A lot of teams right now are not really comfortable with going with full contact with the training. I don't think it's going to be any training camps really. Well, if it is, a lot of teams not going to anticipate because when you have the COVID still going around rampant and you have all these players mixed in and playing and training and trying to get ready for the season, you know, COVID is still going to be running rapid. So a lot of teams start to opt out.
Hold on, Hugh. You're not seeing the big picture here, sir. Basically, Hugh was explaining to you guys that several teams have opted out of doing their preseason training camp stuff because of COVID considerations, but it's bullshit, people, okay? Here's what's really going on. Remember, just recently, the NFL owners got together and decided, yeah, we're going to have a 17-game season instead of a season. And we're going to have 3 preseason games instead of 4. And all the players, for the most part, have not been pleased with that decision, okay? They're upset that they have to play this extra game and the pay is not going to equal out to that and all of that good stuff. So you have less time to recuperate. The chance of you getting hurt severely is increased because you're playing that extra full contact game. They've already expanded the playoffs last year. They're doing that again this year. So the players are looking to get some enactment of revenge on this part because the argument is being made that no, because of COVID, we're concerned. That's why we don't want to do OTAs. But what it really is one, they realized we didn't do OTAs the way we normally did last year. And guess what? We made out all right. It worked out good. In fact,
They
some
were
of us
healthy.
working out on our own and not coming in the summertime when it's hot as hell and doing all this extra running and whatnot. We don't like to have to contend with all that. So guess what? We're gonna come with this convenient COVID excuse, but in actuality, we don't want OTAs. And in the actual scheme of things, I think that's the trend. We're gonna have a situation where OTAs become less of a thing, where basically you may come together for a week before training camp and do a little something, something, get the new book, all that type of stuff. But for the most part, people are gonna be working out from home. Remember, it's not like back in the day. You needed OTAs back in the day because remember, a lot of these professional athletes at that time, they were not full-time athletes. They were actually people who played during the season and then on the off season, they had a whole nother job outside of this. Whether they was working for companies or side hustles, whatever the case may be. Now that athletes are getting paid the type of money that they are getting paid, they now see it as okay, this is my full-time occupation. But that being said, I don't have to always be on duty. I'm always gonna work out. I'm always gonna make sure my diet is straight. I'm always gonna check my physical to make sure my needs and all that is together. I don't need to have to come away from where I'm at in California or Florida, wherever I live at, and come to that city that I only like because they paying me and have to deal with that. So that is why I think OTA is being questioned to this degree. Because remember, it was two teams that started out with this mess, but now all of a sudden the Lions have added themselves to the mix, the Broncos, so on and so forth. And I think in the days to come, the vast majority of the teams gonna be like, "Yeah, what they said, I don't want to do it either." And I the players' way of saying, "Yeah, y'all got us on that one thing, but we about to get y'all back."
Definitely smart on the veterans' behalf, man, because they ain't gonna want to play anywhere during the OTAs or any training. They want to rest their bodies as much as possible, and I still feel like the NFLPA needs to step in and do something about this because remember before we heard about them supposed to be getting an extra bye week. And we ain't heard nothing about them getting that extra bye now. So what's really going on? It seems like the NFL will dangle the carrot and take it away when you feel like you can get that advantage. And they always work out for the owners and, in this whole case. And they're not out there playing. So they're like, who cares what these guys are saying? We paying y'all, so you should play.
Yep, and Ms. Patterson, I still feel the same way. Also saying hi to Aunt Nikki. Here's the thing, y'all. What we really need to happen, because remember, a lot of the reasons why some of these especially the major sports outlets do what they do is because there is no competition. There is no other major league baseball league. There is no other major basketball league and what have you. That's why I'm hoping that when the Rock gets together with the CFL and they do that merger with the XFL CFL, it's very competitive league so that a lot of this crap that the NFL pulls because they feel like they're the only game in town, they'll have to think twice about. Because then if you lose some players to the XFL and CFL because you basically treating them like slaves or indentured service, you'll have to kind of change your practices. Let's just say the XFL, CFL, see what the NFL doing. Like, oh yeah, y'all can come here. Y'all not gonna make quite as much, but guess what? Ain't no OTAs. Y'all good on that. Work out from home. It's all good. Do all your stuff virtual. Do what you want in terms of your workout and whatnot. Ain't gonna be no large training camps like that. We're gonna do a couple weeks and then we're gonna get it cracking. If they implement more things that the players actually like and will contend with a little better, now suddenly we got the NFL looking at things a little differently. Because remember, in terms of the major sports, them in soccer, they the big cash cows. Anything that's gonna go against that and cut into the profits, that's gonna be a whole nother story.
And they're smart too, E. What they try to pull a lot of times is they put, as far as the owners, they'll say, okay, we'll give you all this money up front, we'll give you bonuses, but then they put extra incentives to go into training camp and the OTAs. And if you miss it, you could get fined for some reason. So yeah, it's like, man, they know what they're doing. And I just feel like what the owners do right now and how they treat the players, definitely giving that extra game. I hope that a lot of the teams just opt out.
Right. And let me also say, Miss Pat, I'm so glad you are chiming in this evening. and that you are no longer in Facebook jail. Facebook, y'all did Miss Pat wrong, and y'all know it. We love her. The Nighthawk Network is not the same without her. Don't do that no more. So yeah, just had to throw that out there. Love Miss Pat. But okay, hold
Pat,
on.
man.
Yeah, they knew what they was exactly, Miss Pat. They know they was. But y'all, so now, Hugh, before I move on, is there anything else in regards to the football? Because y'all know football is Hugh's favorite thing, y'all. You weren't gonna let me get away
Hey,
with that.
we
Anything
good. I
else?
just definitely want you to know if you wasn't aware of that. I just definitely wanted to put that out there.
Oh, well, I apologize. I kind of rushed things. My bad. So yeah, okay. Now, like I said, now we're gonna get to the basketball. Since Ro was so kindly to point that out, we're gonna make an audible kill. Omaha. And we're going to talk about what Ro has to talk about. She wants to talk about the WNBA draft. Yes, the WNBA draft is coming tomorrow. If you know, for those of you familiar with the WNBA draft, outside of all the other major sports, that usually comes right after the college season. There's actually been a couple times in recent years where basically the national championship game was Monday and the WNBA draft was the next day or the following days after. So oftentimes people have already made up their mind going into the championship game that, yeah, this is my last game. Now here's the thing. It's a little different this year. Again, pointing out that many people are eligible to add an additional year eligibility to their college. Not to mention the fact that WNBA now is allowing people who are juniors who actually graduated in their graduating class in college to be eligible for the draft. So if you're a junior and you basically was a redshirt freshman, so now you got your official 4 years in, or you went and did summer school those 3 years, so you graduated early, you are now eligible for the WNBA draft. So the thing is, you also will have the option of saying, okay, I was drafted in the second round, I didn't get an agent, I'm going back to school. Damn that. So that's going to make the WNBA draft very interesting. Keep in mind also, there is no clear cut number one pick this year, as it usually is in the WNBA draft. Not quite always the case in the NBA draft in recent years, but usually the WNBA draft is usually one person that you know is going number one. There's a few people that they've thrown in there in regards to that. There's the young lady out of Baylor, that's a possibility. Of course, there's that young lady out of Arizona who killed, she damn near won a national championship by her.
Yeah.
And a couple of the Stanford ladies, they also are top picks to be considered. Surprisingly enough, UConn, they'll have people in the mix because it's UConn, and there is a couple people that are hinting that they would possibly enter the draft, but none of them have flat out stated, yes, I'm in. So there's a possibility that tomorrow in the WNBA draft, UConn players might get drafted, and all of them may decide, you know what, this wasn't high enough. I'm going back to school, making for UConn to have a real good super team, considering they have the number one recruiting class in the country coming in, including two of the top three players in the country on top of that. So it's going to be a very interesting WNBA draft this year. Of course, again, they're doing it virtual like they did last year. So there will be no sitting room and coming up to the stage and all that. I found that to be very interesting the way they did that last year because everybody was at home and they had their own little setups and, they had little camera crews and whatnot. And, they had little fancy sets. Some of them had the little setups ahead of time with like, oh, here's the hat. Some of them had balloon celebration. A couple of young ladies were dressed up with some nice evening gowns. The one lady basically had her own little gear that she had already ready to market. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how people play that in terms of the draft tomorrow. What you think, Hugh?
Man, it's gonna be cool, man, because of the fact is, I actually like the virtual drafts, man. It makes you feel the vibe of them being at home, being in the comfort of their own homes. But I definitely feel like if it's a sure number one pick, I already definitely top one, maybe two. Because Ari McDonald showed out that championship game. We all slept on her. We didn't know that she was gonna do what she did when they beat UConn, but her alone, like you said, almost won that championship. And I want to see where she land. And like you said, a lot of the players are in this draft. If they're not comfortable where they're going to be drafted, they can go back to school if they don't have an agent. So yeah, it's
Right.
going to be cool, man. And a lot of the women can actually come back to school for that fifth year. So yeah, it's
Right.
going to really be good, man. And we're going to see because, like you said, more or less, if you don't like where you're being drafted, you have the option of going back in school, and I feel like that's really cool. And I feel like they definitely should even consider doing that too in men's competition. Like give them that fifth year if they want to stay in school, or actually you don't even got to go to school. Just play basketball. Get your rankings up a little bit better. That was an awesome idea, and I think a lot of the ladies going to consider that. Even the ones who are possibly going to be drafted, like you said, if they don't like where they're going to be picked at, they always had an option of going back to school and playing for another year.
Right. And then also consider usually in the case of the WNBA, there's a situation where there is not going to be the usual training camps and whatnot because of COVID considerations. A lot of the women's leagues that are very thriving in other countries are not quite as good because, of course, the American players are stuck here in America as opposed to going overseas to get their extra money. Remember, a lot of the better WNBA players, they actually go and play overseas after the WNBA season and usually make 2 and 3 times more money than they do here. So they look forward to that. It's unfortunate that just like we have a G League here where you can still be a professional or at least on a semi-pro situation and make money, that we don't have something similar in regards to the WNBA. But then, of course, it's also unfortunate that it's not getting the support that it should as a league. I honestly think, I would definitely say if they would market more to the women of which they want to come to the games in terms of marketing and clothing lines, things of that nature, I think it would get better turnouts overall. So, in other words, not just women, but families coming to see them play. So, I really would want them to do a better job of marketing the situation. Just for example, like I said, we know there's a WNBA draft. It's actually coming on ESPN or ESPN2 tomorrow, but they're not advertising as much as they would if this was the NBA draft. You would see that. You probably would see that rolling across our screen now. We ain't got nothing to do with ESPN. So yeah, but yeah, I definitely would like to see that in the future, post pandemic, that they do a better job of marketing not just the WNBA but other women's athletics in general. Okay, let me see what other comments we got here. Okay, I love football, said Miss Pat. Helena saying, Coach V, I think that's a great idea. Yep. Good evening, gentlemen. We got Gregory Alfred checking in. What's going on, sir? Thank you for checking into the show. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the WNBA. Let's talk NBA now, y'all. Here's the situation. I'm gonna show you guys what we got in terms of the records right now here. I'm gonna let Hugh start it off. What's some of your observations of the NBA right now, Hugh?
Right now, man, I just been liking some of the powerhouse teams, man. Utah, man, I'm just waiting for them to start slipping. Oh, yeah, I told you that. And for any Utah fans, I apologize. But then, when teams come out of nowhere and be that good, man, they decide to slip off, man. But then, number one,
saying that since they went on that 6-win roll early in the season, but as you can see here in the standings, Utah is the number one team not only in the Western Conference but in the NBA. It don't look like they slipping at this point. They're probably about a week away from clinching a playoff spot. I mean, you look at some of the other teams in there. The Clippers are definitely improving of late, and of course, Phoenix, in regards to what they got going, I figure it'd be another year or two before we saw Phoenix being in contention like that. But not only are they in contention, they damn near at the top of the top.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a young team with a lot of weapons on there. They're gonna be a hard out for anybody.
When Chris Paul went there at first, I was a little pissed. I said, man, why they keep doing Chris Paul like that, man? They put him on OKC. Now they put him on Phoenix. What's going on, man? Do y'all not like this man? But then I didn't think about the one X factor, man, Devin Booker, man. He's a guy that he can groom, man. It's like you can see Chris Paul passing the torch to this guy, man. And it's a good idea to have him on the team like that. But even when I didn't like him on OKC, he did well for them guys. His leadership alone, man, makes him one of the better NBA players that people don't really give as much credit to. And that Phoenix Suns team is dangerous, man. I can see them dethroning. I still feel like the Phoenix Suns going to be number one, and they're going to clinch the best record in the NBA. But we'll have to see about it. But yeah, it's been pretty good, man, to see how the Clippers are starting to emerge and went on a big winning streak. But the problem right now, Ian, we talked about that. Jamal Murray, man, that's gonna make Denver slip a little bit, man. Him tearing up his ACL and being out for the season. That might be the worst thing that can happen to them because when the good thing is they did have the backup when they end up getting Aaron Donald and when they got JaVale McGee, that made their team a lot stronger than what it was. But man, Jamal Murray's gonna be missed.
Okay, hold on. We got a few comments and then I'm gonna address some of that you talked about. Ms. Pat said I was trying to figure out why they didn't really advertise it. That's a very good Ms. Pat. Okay, I enjoy football the most, yet I respect all athletes. The step on the court, the ice, the diamond, and the field takes the dedication and sacrifice. Absolutely. We done played a little sports back in the day. We know what that takes. Do you think that Russell Wilson will stay with the Seahawks? At this point, Ms. Pat, I would have to say yeah.
This year, of course.
Basically, if they were going to get rid of him by now, I think they would have. I think they actually did at some point put some feelers out to see what type of deal they could get for Russell. They weren't liking what the return was on that. So at this point, it looks like they are willing to work with him in regards to some of his concerns in regards to the team and addressing them and try to make him happy instead. But of course, we'll have to see how the season plays out. But remember, that division is going to be somewhat tough. You got Arizona that's definitely going to upgrade, depending on what the quarterback situation is in San Francisco. There's that. And of course, we got Matthew Stafford with the Rams. So that's supposed to be an upgrade for them. So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, we knew what you meant, Miss Pat. We got you. Okay, living in Phoenix, a lot of Suns fans are very happy. I bet they are. Okay, thank you, Julian Edelman. Thank you for your dedication and sacrifice to Patriots Nation.
Yeah, that hurt me when I found out that, man. I didn't even get a chance to talk to G about that yet. We're going to have a long conversation, G. Don't forget, man, I'm 8-1 tomorrow, man. When I get off, man, we're going to probably have a 2-hour conversation, man, because, man, I lost my breath a little bit after seeing that, man. The squirrel, man, he been like, I seen some of the stuff on the NFL yesterday, and I was starting to freak out. I went to bed on it, man. I can't fathom right now the next season that Julian Edelman won't be with the Patriots.
He won't be with the Patriots, but
be with the Bucs
out there. They already what you think?
They're gonna be with the pirate ship.
It could. Bet I'm off work, bro. I'll be ready. Okay, bet. So, yep, we got some discussions that's going to go on after the show, apparently, between Hugh and his buddy. But, so, yeah, going back to what you said about Denver. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, they got some extra help in that, but the help was to help the franchise. And who is the franchise? There's two people on Denver where if you take those people away, you have a different team going on. Almost every team in the league is like that. In the case of Denver, you cannot afford to lose the Joker. That being Jokic, he is the big man that everybody wants and needs, and you cannot lose Murray. Remember, if there was not for a young man by the name of Dame Dollar, that is Damian Lillard, the MVP of the bubble last year probably would have been Jamal Murray because that's how instrumental he was in getting Denver as far as they did in the playoffs. He was phenomenal, and he was signs of that in recent weeks. But then, of course, that injury happens. And the freakishness of it, because basically it happened, him going to the hole, nobody hit him or anything. His knee just kind of went out. Who knows how long that might be? Remember, we got people like that young man there in Golden State, that being Thompson, still trying to get it together a couple years later after his leg injury. You still have, to some degree, people like the man in Brooklyn, that being the big fella, who's out with 30 games due to hamstring injury. So, even now we still wonder, okay, what's the situation? Because, of course, Nets are playing. Harden, he's not playing. You don't have Blake Griffin, he's not playing. You don't have Aldridge, he's not playing tonight. And it's for various reasons. Some of them say rest, some of say this new thing that the doggone Kawhi Leonard started called injury management. That type of stuff, which is basically a and we're not playing him tonight. He getting his rest on because he's a veteran. So you'll notice that a lot of the teams seem to have injury issues with some of their major superstars. And me and who talked about my theory about that. I'm gonna get to it. But basically, they're talking about tonight. Giannis is not playing because he had some lagging injuries. LeBron, of course, is not playing for the Lakers. AD not playing for the Lakers.
Still not playing.
There's another person on that team not playing, as I recall. The Clippers, Paul George was out in bits and pieces a couple weeks ago. All these players are coming up with these interesting injuries. But remember, folks, the Olympics is coming, y'all, and there will be professional athletes, as in WNBA players and NBA players, on these teams. And because of that, and the fact that we are in a shortened season for the one hand, but on the other hand, the season was lengthened last year due to COVID, these guys are setting themselves up to where, okay, I want to play in the Olympics, but I wanted to play all these damn games back to back to back. Oh, my leg. Oh, my knee. Let me 10 games. Oh, we still in third place in the West? I might need a little bit more time to recover. And so on and so forth. So, yeah, I don't doubt that some of these people, I mean, it's that time of year in the NBA like it would be in the NFL. Everybody's a little injured from playing so much. But in terms of how serious some of these injuries are, I call BS, man.
Oh yeah, you know what that is. We call that the Greg Popovich effect, man. You know, he was good at doing that. Everybody started to see what he was doing. That like the Kool-Aid he was giving it, everybody started to mimic it, man, because I'm like, it ain't no way in hell that LeBron and AD was injured for that long. You know, maybe they just to the point where they're all rested up, and you're right, because everybody jockeying to get to the playoffs, because you don't have to be the number one seed to win the championship. We see it all the time. The best teams and the team to catch fire when they're meshed together at the right time, that's who wins championships. So you don't even have to be number one seed, just get there. It always been that way. You know, sometimes it worked better for the number one seed, but for the most part, the most rest and the better you execute and a team who catch fire best, man. Like nobody expected Miami Heat to go as far as they did, man. When they got on the roll, they got on the roll, man. And that's all it takes, man. Just enough wins and just for your team to get together and a healthy team, better yet. But I definitely feel like right now that's going to be something everybody doing now. That Greg Popovich effect is live in effect and it's real. But at the same time, you might as well rest them players though, because if I had a choice, man, I'd do the same thing. I want a healthy team.
Right. I mean, the whole thing here was this. Like I said, remember, they're constantly increasing the number of games. They're increasing the number of playoff games. They're
Yeah.
increasing the number of trips you take it back and forth. They're trying to cut down supposedly on the back-to-back games, but they're still having those things go on. And you know, it's just a lot. And of course, not to mention you have all the extra things you have to contend with as an athlete in today's COVID society, where you're constantly being tested, or there's constantly because of there are several players out today on other teams because of COVID protocol. And the thing is now because you don't have to mention well they're out because that player has COVID. You simply say no, it's just a COVID protocol. In other words, they were around somebody who had COVID. But you don't have to justify who that person was. You could have said it's the locker room attendant. You could have said it was their girlfriend. It could have been anybody. But in the end, since you don't have to disclose that information because it's medical information, then yeah, you can use that excuse whenever you get ready now in terms of that. So here's the other thing. Remember also another key factor that plays into this is some of the things that's going on in society. And you know, we talk in sports, but sometimes those things bleed into it. And we know the situation that happened in Minnesota the other day in regards to Deontay
Yeah.
Wright, him being brutally murdered. Not an accident, not a damn accident, not a damn accident.
Whatsoever.
And because of that, players around the league have felt some type of way. The Timberwolves did not play that particular night after, and of course now they are being pressured into playing. Keeping in mind that they have to play the next few games during the day because there's an actual curfew in Minnesota right now, which definitely will probably go on for at least the next couple of weeks until after the George Floyd trial. Remember, also, in case you guys didn't know, the officer that actually shot that young man was actually charged with a crime. That crime, unfortunately, however, is just second-degree manslaughter. And according to the whack-ass laws of Minnesota, the maximum sentence for second-degree manslaughter is 10 years. So at the most, that person who took that young man's life after being a 26-year veteran on the force, a training officer no less, is looking at perhaps 10 years maximum for killing someone who was not even a full-blown adult with a child. And of course, yeah, they'll pay off the family some undisclosed amount. And again, I always get upset about that now because I consider that's not their money to be paying the family. That is you, the taxpayer, paying that family for that person fucking up instead of that person and that person's pension fund or whatnot taking care of that. So,
Man,
yeah, nonetheless, they talk to a lot of the athletes, particularly the NBA players who tend to be a little bit more woke than most athletes, and they're not happy with that. So, depending on what may go on in the George Floyd trial and some of these other ones in the weeks and months to come, that might affect
disaster.
that might affect the NBA season just like it did last year.
It's going to be rough, man, because I feel like in that case, too, a lot of us been pissed off, man. And big ups to all the players who didn't play, man, and who refused to play because this is getting out of hand, man. The way the cops, killing off black males in the United States of America, man. No matter who's the president, man, it still goes on. It's just like the cops need to be better trained, man. They need to have more empathy towards people, man. It's rather than shooting first, man, they need to really understand and realize what's going on first. It wasn't like a lot of the people pulled guns out on them. A lot of the people who've been killed, man, and lost their lives over the last few years were people who are unarmed, man. They had their hands up and they basically, tried to cooperate, but the cops didn't want to cooperate, man. It's like, is it you're really that upset of what they did or a so-called crime that they committed, or you're just shooting people without a cause because their skin is a different color or they're a different race, or do you feel like they put fear in your hearts? I just don't feel like they're using the best procedures right now to really, their judgment is not there, and it's really pissing me off to see that.
Yes, Miss Pat, every time I think about that, she absolutely had to know the difference between the taser. I refuse to believe that those two things weighed the same, had the same triggering mechanisms, even looked alike. You can see the difference on how they look. Taser. And I just reacted and whatnot. Keep in mind, there are other incidents over the years where people have mistaken their taser for a gun. There are a few, and they have 6 documented cases in Minnesota in particular. But all that being said, those officers were dismissed or charged. So the fact that, okay, yes, it's good that you immediately came to the decision that she should be charged, but no, it's not good that basically what you're going to charge her with is simply more than shame on you for fucking up. No, that is not going to bring that man back to his son or his family. No, that's not going to be sufficient in the eyes of us, the people. In the end, crimes against people in regards to law enforcement must stop. And more importantly, for us people of color, they must stop happening to us because they happen to us far more often. It's not that white people are not also having issues with the police, but they are far less likely to do so than people that look like us. We know that and we understand that and we're tired of it. And something needs to seriously go on. Absolutely, Miss Taser's much that goes without saying. We know this. She needs to get charged with murder, not manslaughter. Exactly. At least second-degree murder. I understand if they don't charge her with first-degree murder because that's premeditated. And it's hard to say, okay, well, yeah, I had in mind I was going to kill me a nigga today. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
Though, it would not surprise me if down the line she was talking to her buddies, be like, boy, if I ever get a chance, kill me one. You know what I'm saying? If anything like that is found in her past and her criminal history, basically, if you go back and look at her overall record and you see several incidents similar to this, then yeah, that manslaughter charge is not enough. I'm hoping that that's not the only thing they can charge her with, that's just something to detain her with. At this time, she is being detained in a prison awaiting further instructions. And of course, usually how that'll play out is they'll have the hearing. They'll give her a bond because it's very rare that a police officer does not get a bond to be released. The police union or the people that feel like they she did a good thing or whatever the case may be, they will get the money together, go fund it, whatever the case may be. She'll be out and awaiting trial and so on and so forth. She has a terrible reputation. Okay, well, see that I'm not familiar with. I haven't heard as much as in regards to her record at this point. I do know at this point that she was supposed to be actually training an officer during that incident, and that is how she did it. So if you're a training officer, I expect you to be at an even higher standard than your basic officer in regards to that. If you're on the force for 26 years, 26 years is just like Hugh, for example. If you were doing sports guruism and doing Pure to the Game podcast and all that for 26 years, I expect every time I go on there, hell, you know what he's talking about. This shit the truth. It's an automatic. I ain't even got to look at no other source. Same for that. If you the one training damn police officers, you should be the one. Are you the only one in the stadium, Big E? Hey, you got jokes tonight. Okay.
Behave,
Yeah, I'm
baby.
the only one in the stadium. I'm maintaining my social distance, okay? I'm quarantined.
What about that lady in the background, man? Shame on you.
You big stupid. Okay, a training officer should know, but absolutely, it's fair, absolutely. But okay, we ain't mean to kidnap the show. My bad, you. You don't like when I do that, y'all. Y'all stop doing that. Maybe we talk about
that pissed me off. That whole issue that had to have been discussed. E, I'm glad we brought that to the forefront. I just get tired of being silent.
This would not be the Nighthawk Network. We do not address these things as they come up. So yeah, 10 years is not sufficient. Okay, I need her to get more than a slap on the wrist. Because in the end, she'll get out in 5 years, end up being an officer some damn where else. No. But anyway, okay, we're going to take a commercial break, kind of cool off for a minute, get some water. I'm supposed to be staying hydrated. I'm under doctor's orders, y'all. Y'all know I took that vaccine yesterday. I'm feeling good, but I am noticing your mouth do kind of dry out a little quicker. Or maybe I'm just talking too much today. I don't know. Either way, we want
that iced tea.
Yeah, it's time to grab some of that Snapple tea. You know how we do. And when we get back, we're going to switch on over and talk us a little baseball, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Hugh, is it only one plant in your greenhouse? See, yeah, H2 on some other stuff today. Man, what's going on? Are you herbally medicating today, H2? Is that what it is? You clowning. But anyway,
H2 jealous because of that ambiance.
But yeah, we're gonna deal with her and some other stuff, y'all. This get off my see, there I go. This is Gametime Audible. That is Hugh Lee. I am E. This is the Nighthawk Network. That's H2 clowning. This is Wednesday. Man, Stan, we're gonna have to talk about this Saturday, bro.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Unscripted talk on police reform and race relations.
And now, Behind the Blue Curtain's law enforcement liaison, retired 32-year Chicago police veteran, homicide detective, former commander, sergeant, grant writer, lecturer, and adjunct professor, Joseph J. Mosley.
Behind the Blue Curtain's minister of common sense, former 12-year Fort Worth police officer, educator, voice of reason, and unapologetic practitioner of sound judgment, the young scholar, LaRonda Young.
Behind the Blue Curtain's co-host, fact checker, and investigative journalist, Isidoro Rodriguez.
Stop the commercial, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, we're gonna go back to a couple commercials in a minute, but I just gotta show y'all something right quick. You see that here?
Hey, man, I'm late, man. That bug looks scrumptious right now. I just want to reach out and grab it.
I'm gonna grab you some of that, but yeah, I went in there for the commercial break and seen that sitting on the counter. Yeah,
You got a scoop of it.
I'm about to mouth kiss some of that after the show. I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, anyway, y'all, we'll be back. My bad, y'all. My bad.
Come on now. Okay, black on. Get into it. Black on. Look at that. David Ford. Right there. That's his thing. Black on. He don't know Tom. Look at that. David Ford. That's his thing. He don't know Tom. Yeah. Yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, I can see the demons. I can't see the demons, but I can see the light.
We are creating black luxury across this country.
Yeah, we back. It's Gametime Audible. I'm still Big E. That's still Hugh. We still talking sports, but we gotta address some of these comments first. We're getting a little bit out of hand. Somebody in the room. We'll figure out who that is in a second. You let's see. That is Miss Pat laughing at H2 talking about your plant. And yes.
Y'all gotta behave, man.
How about the forensic doctor that was in Baltimore and left as a medical examiner making excuses for Derek Chauvin? I can't even go there, Miss Pat. For those people that's having trouble watching that trial, the defense this week, what the defense is doing is just ridiculous. You basically gonna make every excuse in the sun why that man died, as opposed to what we actually seen with our own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Said the man had a crushed larynx and everything from that man kneeling on his knee for over 9 minutes. And y'all still gonna try to blame everything else for him dying. No. Because guess what? If you don't put your knee on him, that would have killed you. Not
you'd have lived to see another day.
It wouldn't have had nothing to do with none of that, okay? So I'm not buying that bullshit. This Pat said, yummy, Eric. I'm sure talking about that mac and cheese. Is that homemade? It's kind of light for black people. Look here, H2. I almost called you something that wasn't a child of God, okay? Nothing wrong with that mac and cheese. Here's the problem. See, black people are under the assumption that when you cook mac and cheese, it must be some type of brown on the top. But keep in mind, if your mac and cheese is brown on top, you know what that means? That part's a little burnt, okay? Remember, cheese. When you melt cheese, the cheese supposed to still look like cheese, is it not? If it starts to look brown or blackened, that means you have overcooked. If you get a pizza and it has that brown all over the cheese, that means they didn't cook it too long. Take my shit back, Domino's. Y'all on that bullshit. I feel the same about the mac and cheese. Now, I see people talk about white people mac and cheese. White people, some of them, tend to make their mac and cheese different. They tend to make it where it's more creamy, where it's more milky. You know, as black people, we're used to that thick brick type mac and cheese. That's why we tend to put a lot of extra eggs and flour and roux and all that other stuff in there. I don't put that in my mac and cheese. My mac and cheese consists of seasonings, a little milk, noodles, and cheese. But again, this is not a cooking show, so we ain't gonna get into that either. The world is so sad and racist.
Yes, in a nutshell.
Especially here in the United States, unfortunately. Behave. Thank you, Miss Pat. I like that. Yeah, H2, you acting up this evening. You on that other stuff, okay? You behave yourself over there. But anyway, yeah, let's get back to the show, if you don't mind, H2. Let's do what I do. And we're going to talk some baseball now, y'all. Here's the thing. We're in the second, third week of baseball. It's actually pretty good so far. Here's what we got in terms of the records. You see there, Boston is leading the East, and Cleveland and Kansas City actually leading the Central right now. You got the Angels leading the West. Houston was leading the West until the Tigers came in town. My Tigers whooping their butt, man. And because of that, we're gonna be out the basement by the end of the week. The Washington Nationals won the championship 2 years ago. They suck now. The Mets, okay, but they having COVID issues. That's why they only 4-3. And the Central, Cincinnati still doing what they doing. And them doggone Dodgers, they still getting it done despite their injury situation. So that's what's going on. That's some of the immediate observations. We're gonna deep dive a little bit. I love you, Eric. I know you do H2. You just fooling on us.
We love you too, Evil. The Orioles.
The Orioles.
We're with them right now, the Detroit Tigers.
I did watch the Orioles the other night, Miss Pat. That offense not too good, boo. You know, usually the Orioles have a nice banging offense. They have a lot of pop in the back because you know their stadium is a home run venue. You can give up a lot of good gopher balls in that boy, but the lineup they got in Baltimore, not so much. I am from Baltimore City, and I'm telling you the truth. Like I said, our Tigers definitely look better than Baltimore, but no, if you've seen the Washington Nationals, they got one of their better hitters out, and their pitching staff just ain't quite the same. They not good right now. So they definitely not the worst team in the league, trust me. But yeah, in terms of what else is going on in baseball at the moment, sir, I'm really liking the fact that we are getting some good pitching, dominant pitching. We've already had a no-hitter, for example. We had a couple pitchers the other day got close in the seventh inning to having no-hitters. So we getting some good pitching. We also getting a lot of home runs again this year. It ain't came up yet, but I'm sure they're gonna get to talk about how tight the balls are won and that type of stuff because they jumping out the park on several folks. And actually, the person that leads the league in home runs plays for the Detroit Tigers, sir.
Hey, they've been smacking the ball out, man. It's just that they can't, keep pitching in check right now, man. But they've been fun to watch. A lot of the young kids, man. We seen Casey come up, man, and he had a really good game, and it's just really good to see the younger guys coming up and playing, man. But like you said, the LA teams right now got everything on lock, man. Maybe because it's the warm weather, man, and once it starts getting hotter, other teams will catch up with them. But yeah, I'm really still surprised with the Cincinnati Reds, man. They over there doing it. Castellanos and Joey Votto, who's been over there for a while now. They got something cooking, man, and I definitely appreciate seeing a team who we definitely didn't think would be in this conversation come to the forefront. But yeah, I'm just really disappointed in like some of the Atlanta Braves teams, man, who got a stacked roster. San Diego's still doing okay, but then they start to slip a little bit. But yeah, I just still feel like it's too early in the season to call it because we were looking at the Red Sox like they were dead. Remember, don't forget, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, Baltimore Orioles swept the Boston Red Sox, who now leads the division. So, yeah, anything can happen.
Let me talk about the East in particular for a second. Hold on. Let me put that back up here. Now, here's the thing. You see Boston in top in the East. You see where the Yankees are. They're a couple games behind. Now, for whatever reason, these last few seasons, it always seems to start the same way for the Yankees.
Always.
Start out that first week okay, and then they start to have the injury bug. And the injury bug seems to hit the Yankees worse than any team in the league the last few years. And it's usually the same basic characters. Stanton having issues. Of course, Aaron Judge is out. Now he's back and he's 0 for 9. There's issues with the starting staff yet again. I don't know what it is about playing in Yankee Stadium or what have you, but for some reason, especially early on in the season, Yankees just can't seem to stay healthy. And then they kind of come on around June or so, get to dominate when the weather's warmer. And because Yankee Stadium is like, you might be playing the Pal League Stadium, it seems like some nights, because it's like a flick of the bat, and that shit is flying out of everywhere. I feel like, yeah, the Yankees have a very potent lineup, but again, because they play and that bandbox that is Yankee Stadium, that automatically sets up to win as long as they starting pitching is somewhat decent. And outside, of course, the dominant Jared Cole, the Yankees pitching staff is still kind of,
They sent her mind down, man. They like, man, you got to go back to AAA after he got dinged up real bad, but it just never seemed to click with them, man. I don't really know what's going on with Corey Kluber right now, too. We thought for sure them having Garrett Cole and Corey Kluber that have definitely helped shore up their lineup, but it's still the same. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's just too early, but I doubt it because Garrett Cole's the only one who seemed like he stepped up to the plate. I think they needed to, research, and they should have went after Trevor Bauer, man, because right now I just don't think Kluber's consistent, and they got the money. Like, what's the holdup, man?
Right.
Then, like you said, there's always issues with Giancarlo Stanton. That's why I feel like Miami gave him up, man, and I definitely don't blame him now. When is he ever healthy? But then Aaron Judge definitely been injured the last couple seasons too. So I think the best thing to happen to them right now is on Ragnar Odor from the Texas Rangers.
All right, hold on. We got comments here. They're not playing for nothing. They're not praying for nothing. The OS. Not quite sure. Where you?
She said, paying for nothing. The O's, like I guess you're saying they ain't paying.
Got you. Okay. The O's, as in not the OS, but O's, as in Orioles. Okay, I got you. Absolutely. And they are not a good team either. No, not right now. Good evening, my wonderful brothers. Thank you, H2. That was only one game, Hugh. They suck. Yeah, they're not happy in Baltimore. Like I said, we're showing signs of improvement. I'm encouraged by that. We definitely got the hottest rookie in the league right now. Shout out to that dude. But dude, he is showing up and showing out. Hitting home runs, hitting game-winning hits, stealing bases, playing some decent outfield. I'm very impressed with that young man. Keep in mind, he was a Rule 5 person we got from Minnesota. Thank you, Minnesota. Y'all bumped up. Because remember, Brandon Stewart, I believe his name is. Y'all know that brother that the Tigers had kept bringing up, and he was going to be the next big power hitter. What they do with that now?
On the milk carton.
Bottom line, even if he in the AAA and he start to show out and he look like he ready to come up, trade that brother. We got our man right here. I'm rolling with Badu. And if we can get your boy Jones to start putting the bat on the ball a little bit more, because like I said, he plays an excellent center field. At that point, we got your coach. We got some things to work with. Because we already know the right field, we pretty much setting up for Brandon Green when he comes in from the minor leagues. That's the guy that we picked number 5 overall a couple years ago. They basically just wait for him to get a little bit older. So that's our outfield of the future right there from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, they got a bright future too, man. I'm just glad they starting to play and showcase those guys, man. When you holding on to these veterans and trying to keep some of these guys in the lineup, man, it's not going to do it, man. And as much as I love Miggy, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him neither. If they don't, man, let's just let him walk away gracefully, man.
Let's be honest. I think they're trying to respect that brother. Remember, he is close to 2 very important baseball records, that being 500 home runs and 3,000 hits. And it looks like he could possibly obtain both of them this year. I think if that happens next year, they're just going to go ahead and pay him out and call it a career for him. He may go for 1 or 2 seasons, play for like the Yankees, someplace where he can hit, where, the ball will just jump off his bat, grab a few extra, and then go ahead and wait his 5 years and be a Hall of Famer. So I'm all right with that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Yankees too, man. Remember at one point before A-Rod was about to opt out his contract before he decided to stay, they was already waiting for him, man. They said if A-Rod leaves, man, we're going to go after Miguel Cabrera, so we're not really worried they were going to get him as insurance. That would have been hell of an insurance too, while at the time he was still young.
Well, usually in the end, our power hitters end up 1 or 2 places. Out there with the Yankees or down there in Texas, because the ball jumps off all the bats there. Or sometimes in California, too. Let's not forget, you have several Tigers end up being California Angels at some point, or Anaheim Angels. All I'm saying, it's hard to keep up. They always change their damn name. Okay, Miss Patty saying, I know that doesn't have to do anything with sports, but I want everyone to know that I will be protesting next week in front of City Hall because the landlords are trying to be revengeful because many are not getting paid because of COVID. Landlords are mad, so please let people know what landlords are trying to do. And here's the thing, Pat, they actually have funds for landlords. That is part of that Biden relief bill where landlords can go and get compensated for the money they're not getting from residents, or they can actually send residents to some of these agencies to help them get the money that they need to pay and back rent. The fact that these landlords are not contending with that correctly is part of the issue as well. So yeah, we always admire your community outreach, Ms. Pat. So no, that's not. I'm not mad that you interrupted the show for that. Those things are important as well.
The landlords being greedy.
That's all that really is. Because no doubt some of them probably got that paperwork, got that extra money, and they still want more. That part. But anyway, folks, again, baseball is still early on in the season. Fortunately, COVID has not been a major contributing factor. But also remember, by the end of the month, according to President Biden, even with the fact that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has been stopped for a minute, that there still should be enough vaccine for every adult American. That includes all the athletes. So I'm very curious to see if any of them are looking to become vaccinated at some point, and if so, how that would affect the season. Because remember, because a lot of these vaccines, that second dose, you tend to have side effects and whatnot. So will there be a new distinction in regards to the injured list, like okay, out for dose 2 or whatever they may want to call it, vaccine injury or vaccine resting, however you look at it. Because in the end of I would like to think that the vast majority of the major league athletes will be looking to be vaccinated for the simple fact that they are concerned about taking it home, and because they are playing at close quarters with people and what have you, you want to be safe in regards to that, so you can go home to your family and not to quarantine yourself all through the season.
I definitely would like that, man, because I can't really predict and say anything for anyone. We can only speak for ourselves. But at the same time, with the sports going on, I think that's going to be something, the envelope they're going to push for the guys to all be vaccinated so they can play and kind of get away from the distraction of the guys being out all the time. That's all you hear from every sports. He's out a week or two. This player's out a week or two because of COVID. I think they want to try to get some way or get back to some normalcy. And they feel like if these guys are playing in their franchises, getting paid all these millions of dollars, that they're going to have to get vaccinated so they don't have the situation evolve and get worse than what it already was. Because at one point last year, I thought if we were going to keep getting these COVID issues with baseball, that the commissioner was going to shut it down.
I had to agree. So that being said, like I said, we will be monitoring baseball and what's going on with all of that. That will end our baseball talk for the day. When we come back, folks, we want to get into some of the other minor sports that have some things going on. I want to talk soccer. Keep in mind, MLS season is starting this year, and I kind of want to get into that discussion. But also, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of some of the other minor sports and some of the things we got coming in down the pipeline in regards to them. All right. But I told many people before not to take the vaccination for Johnson & Johnson because they hid it for years. And we know, Ms. Pat, you have been a very staunch advocate of not dealing with Johnson & Johnson on any level because, of course, of the talcum powder that caused cancer. So what else would they hide? It's all about money. Now, keep in mind, Ms. Pat, this one is not totally on Johnson & Johnson at the moment. Remember, all of these vaccines have had some extreme side effects for certain people. And depending on how many people that is what determines whether or not you pause a vaccine or stop using it altogether. Remember, there was actually more people that were having blood clots due to the AstraZeneca vaccine as they were administering. There were like dozens of people that had that, and that's why they chose to pause that in certain European countries, and also why that has not been approved for usage here in the United States. They put in their paperwork just like these other companies have, but they have not received approval as Johnson & Johnson and the other ones have. Right now, it's being paused, and this is according to not only Dr. Fauci, but also the White House as well as the CDC, that 6 people all of them who happen to be women, by the way, for some strange reason, or experiencing some type of severe clottage in regards to after being vaccinated. What they're trying to determine is was it the vaccine that caused these blots, or was there some other outlying factors involved? Out of the 6 people of which had the issue, one of them has died, and one of them is presently in critical condition. And this is over the course of the last 6 weeks, I believe. So, because they're erring on the side of caution, that is why they have not uh, used Johnson and Johnson as of yesterday. But also keep in mind, as you point that out, Miss Pat, yeah, that was a very well publicized incident in regards to the Johnson and Johnson. But all these other corporations who have vaccines out also have lawsuits on the books. It is very common for people to sue pharmaceutical companies, keeping in mind that they will always understand that because they have large amounts of money that they are making in profits, and if a loved one dies, you always have to look at what factors play into their death. So let's just say that person dies and had a heart attack or whatnot, and you determine that okay, the medication that they took was from Moderna. So of course you can say, okay, since we don't know the actual cause of death, perhaps one of the causes of death was Moderna's medicine that they were taking. So they then sue Moderna. So yes, Moderna has been served. Moderna has been sued. Pfizer has been sued. GSK, Johnson and Johnson, all these particular ones. It just so happens that in terms of larger lawsuits, Johnson and Johnson has had one of the larger lawsuits in regards to that. That is why that one is particularly publicized. So yeah, I understand that. And one of my concerns is that let's just say they find out that the blood clots were caused because these people had some outlying condition that we don't know about. Remember now, when you go get vaccinated, they ask you several questions. We talked about that last night on the show, but they don't necessarily take no full medical examination in regards to you before you get your vaccine. So who knows what you may have going on in your body before you take the vaccine. Hold on, Miss Pat is saying, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, Miss Pat, again, this is not stuff I'm just telling you to be telling you. You can look up all that information yourself. Just look up pharmaceutical lawsuits or lawsuits against drug companies, and all these things pop up in regards to all these drugs and drug companies. Again, my bad, Hugh. Stop making that face, man.
Oh no, you good, man.
I ain't mean to steal the show. I'm sorry, dog. Y'all know Hugh don't like when we ain't talking sports on the sports show. Y'all stop it.
Nah, people need to hear this stuff, man, regardless.
I can't if I know a few things. You don't be mad, man. Don't be mad. Y'all seen that look he had on his face? It looked like he was mad, didn't he? You know he did. Okay. It was saying if they find out that the blood clots had nothing to do with the vaccine, it's still going to make people leery. Of course, because you've always opened Pandora's box. You got people like Miss Pat that basically is like Johnson & Johnson, hell no. So of course now that didn't happen, and Miss Pat, first thing you probably said was like, I told y'all, I told you, I told you. Because Miss Pat, you just said that on so many of my shows now, I can't even count. So I know you always did told us, you know what I'm saying? But in the end, that had been the first thing you was thinking. They stopping when the vaccine going Johnson Johnson. Yep, it figured. Okay, hold on. When I got my vaccination, I wasn't asked any questions, only my age and name. Now that wasn't right, Pat. They wasn't supposed to do it like that. Again, I'm sitting here with the paperwork. They asked several questions. You see this? You see all these questions, front and back. You're supposed to read all of that and then sign the paperwork. Then they were supposed to give you a brief explanation of what you had going and all of that. So yeah, they didn't do that right. You know me. Yes, I do, Miss Pat. I understand. She's gonna be like sign the petition. Exactly. You already know. Miss Pat probably got a petition already made up already. Ban Johnson. I don't want them even selling no baby oil no more. Damn that. Miss Pat said, Miss Pat, they were supposed to give you paperwork. And after that, you're supposed to get your vaccination card and all of that, okay? So I don't know where they did that at in terms of your stuff. But you said you're going back to get the second one tomorrow. I suggest they send you some paperwork and let you see some paperwork. And let them know that first time they ain't show you no paperwork and you need to know what you signing off on, okay? Miss Pat, did you get the ghetto vaccine? Oh, no. H2, what they like? Hold on. What they like? Yeah, we got a little something for you. Hold on. Where your arm at? This might sting a little bit. Ah! No, I hope they didn't do you like that, Miss Pat. Not for real. But anyway, okay, again. See, they're going to hit with that look again. We talking about sports now. You stop, Miss Pat. You stop. Only got my card. I'm definitely, yeah, you definitely should say something. But anyway, okay. We are coming back. Now we are talking about some of the minor sports. We got soccer going on, y'all. Soccer is one of the big sports, not only in the world, but also in the Olympics. They are basically getting to the point now where they're going to have these last few matches to warm up for soccer and then start getting the soccer going on. Here's the thing. Certain sports in regards to how they're played and where they're played and the environment makes that sport. Soccer is long and arduous. There have been several games I've watched, and I'm like, because it seems like all they do for most of the time is run back and forth. Every now and then,
no scoring.
What makes soccer soccer is that they have these lively ass crowds. I know you've seen at least some of them foreign country games where you come in and you don't necessarily know what's going on the field, but then you hear that, and you're like, yeah. It had you hyped, even though you don't know what the hell going on the field. And then they show them in the crowd, and they're like, and all that stuff. So now that they had these soccer games, and they piping in sound, and you don't see nobody, and you can hear the players on the ear, like, ouch. Why? That is not a good do. Not at all. Okay, hold on. I don't see what's so exciting about kick. Exactly.
Thank you.
I've actually played soccer. It's actually kind of fun to play in and of itself, but it does not play well on television. It definitely does not even really play well in terms of viewing it in a stadium, as far as I'm concerned. It's the atmosphere of the stadium that makes these games entertaining. What do y'all think about wrestling? It's so phony. Now, here's the thing, Miss Pat.
About wrestling fans.
Have had that opinion because we know certain parts of it is indeed scripted. That being said, you have to be an extremely well-tuned athlete to be a good pro wrestler, okay? You see some of these things they do that you cannot fake. The flipping, the launching yourself in the air, some of the power moves where they basically have to lift you over their shoulders and whatnot. There is no faking that. There are not no wires that they have on people and they fake lifting them. Some of these people are actually that damn strong. Remember, a lot of wrestlers come from other backgrounds of powerlifting and football and, amateur wrestling and those types of backgrounds. So in terms of some of their actual skill set, they actually are skilled athletes in that regard. If you know about some of the older wrestlers and they talk about some of the injuries they sustain when they have those steel chairs, yeah, they may be weakened versions of actual steel chairs, but guess what? Actually a steel chair. Some of those times where you see them blood, back in the day, you used to take that little tack and hit their head with like, oh, you got me bleeding. But now sometimes, nope, you actually hit yourself on the corner or whatnot, and you bleed for real, and you play through it. So, in other words, yes, some of wrestling is fake, but some of it is very real. Trust and believe. I actually know this because a friend of mine was in one of the minor leagues of wrestling where they actually trained and did little hall shows and stuff like that. Yeah, I went to one of them. No, you can't fake some of that stuff they was doing. When that chair hit somebody back, you heard it, okay? When somebody get hit with that 2x4, you felt it. So yeah, it ain't all fake. Africans call soccer football. No, not just Africans. Many people in other countries call that football, as in the real football. It seems painful, yeah. Some of that wrestling is.
Yeah.
Most European countries call football exactly. H2 confirming what I just said. Because me and my daughter have been getting arguments over wrestling. That's interesting.
She watch wrestling. On a wrestling head, Miss Pat.
Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of women people. There are a lot of women who are fans of wrestling. They get into it. One of my cousins, we can sit there and talk wrestling for hours. She loves it. Watch WrestleMania, all of that. Been in several matches. Got her own little championship belt at the crib, all that type of stuff. So no, like I said, don't sleep on women who are fans of wrestling. You look in the crowd, you see it's just as many women there as the men. So yeah, I get that. And yeah, wrestling, you can't get into some arguments like, man, that person will beat that person. Man, it's fake. No, it's real. Yeah, I've heard all those arguments. They get real heated, so I understand that. But
Got
yeah,
an audible for you, E.
huh?
Got an audible for you right now.
Oh, okay. We got an audible, y'all. Breaking news. What we got here? What we got?
Man, Carlos Rondon, perfect through 7. The White Sox pitcher is 6 outs away from making history for a perfect game versus the Indians. So this might be the second perfect game. So yeah, man, that's pretty exciting because I seen when it was in the 6th, and I brushed it off. But when it came to the 7th, I don't know if you see my eyes kind of lit up. I definitely want to see that 6 more outs, man, and he can be the second one this year. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm going to be that game too.
We got a perfect game alert going on, and last I checked, Kyrie had 30 plus. He was going off. So yeah, he got it going tonight too. He had 23 going into the half, and he's still scoring since then. So we'll monitor that a little bit as well. H2 says, I like wrestling, guys. I remember Dusty Rhodes older on Anderson Anderson, Nikita. No, basically listing all the wrestlers: the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Andre the Giant, Bobo Brazil, and Randy Savage. That being said, I'm glad that you are a fan of wrestling. If you want to talk wrestling more consistently, more often, be tuning in to the new show called The Gospel According to Pride, with my guy Pride Hunter. He is a big wrestling fan and talks a lot of wrestling. Plans on doing that on his show. That is coming soon to the Nighthawk Network, so be looking out for that. I'm sure he will be more than happy to have that conversation with you. Again, y'all get me in trouble because you don't like to talk about other stuff that ain't the sports, okay? Y'all cut it out.
You said that's going to be the reboot, huh?
Yep. My daughter keeps saying it's not real. I said when they hit them with the chairs, it's real. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's real. Actually, I watch certain documentaries. Matter of fact, there's a documentary, I believe, on the Road Warriors. Have her look that one up. And they talk about some of the injuries they sustained and how they basically became people that took a lot of painkillers and took a lot of drugs, drank a lot because of the pain. Remember, wrestlers work, the good ones work maybe 300 to 325 times a year. So they are constantly getting into these matches. It takes a lot of energy and also takes a lot of conditioning to deal with that type of stuff. That's why a lot of them eventually turn to steroids and whatnot for quicker recovery times. Not just to be all bulked up, but to take some of that punishment to make it look more real and authentic.
You know what's another good show to watch?
Okay, you hear that? Do you consider bodybuilding work?
I actually do. I do, man, because you gotta put in time and dedication for it too, man. So yeah, the way they train to lift and to get in the shape they get into, absolutely.
Well, let me tell you something. One of my teachers in high school was a bodybuilder. She basically competed on the weekends. And what used to happen was she would teach our class during the day, and then after school she would go and work out for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. 4 hours a day. And they basically had it set up. There was a schedule. They'd be like, okay, I need to work on my arms, and then my legs, and then my stomach, my pectorals. And they had all these various exercises they would do to get their body to look and feel a certain way, where certain muscles would be grouped up to where, okay, I got to work on this part of the muscle and that part. If it's not a sport, it's definitely some work. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
And, some of the conditioning goes into not just the eating and all that aspect of it, but into the actual workouts themselves, where some of those workouts that they do to get their bodies looking like that, when I tell you it's stuff that most particular athletes would not even be able to contend with. I know y'all see the thing with the tires and whatnot. that actually came from bodybuilders. They were the ones who started using that as a form of exercise. When you see the thing with the ropes, again, that was a bodybuilder who initiated that particular workout. And they the ones who started doing that. And everybody else kind of incorporated it into their workouts. So, like I said, it may not be considered a sport, but it's definitely something that requires a lot of work and dedication.
And for Miss Pat too, if her daughter want to see something that the real deal about wrestling, it's a show that comes on A&E, and it's called The Dark Side of the Ring. Man, it is vicious, man. They showed one guy who died, who got killed in Mexico. They showed Mae Young, man, prostituting some of the wrestlers. It is vicious. The Chris Benoit one, oh, I was fatigued watching that one, man. That one was so sad. And yeah, it's a really good show, though. I think that if she don't believe wrestling is real, she definitely need to tune into that because I used to look up to Jimmy Superfly Snooker until I saw that show. I have no respect for that man now, man. But it's a lot of stuff that we don't know that they kept hidden for years in wrestling. And basically it comes out. That's why they call it the dark side of the ring. They're coming into their new season too. But yeah, Miss Pat, if your daughter don't believe wrestling is real, please sell her or sit her down and have her watch that documentary. Man, it is brutal.
Right. I must admit, when I do go on hiatus next month, I am looking forward to taking a couple of days and just watching all these great documentaries that's been coming out about a lot of different things. Some of these documentaries, they are extremely informative, and I like watching them a lot myself. Not just the sports ones, just all type of documentaries. But yeah, so there's that about bodybuilding. Okay, I want to get into some Olympic discussion. Let me take a very quick commercial break, just the one, and then we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about the latest in regards to the Olympics and some of the things I learned that's going to be Olympic sports this year. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Gametime Audible. We'll be back and stuff. What up, y'all? Gametime Audible. That dude right there, that dude. He is Hugh Lee. Me right here, I'm Eric. And we talking sports with y'all. And right now we talking about them Olympic Games. They are exactly 100 days away. So in July, we'll be getting it in. And we'll be watching our favorite Olympic sports. There's always the standards. There is, of course, you got the swimming, you got the gymnastics, you got the track and field, of course. You got some basketball going on, all those types of things, the cycling, that type of stuff. But of course, there are some new sports to the Olympics this year. And quite frankly, some of them are going to be entertaining. For example, they're doing karate. Karate is an Olympic sport this year. Looking forward to that. There'll be different divisions and whatnot. I definitely want to see somebody get kicked in the face and win the gold medal. And of course, the boxing. We like the boxing. But now they have some other sports. And they are Olympic sports. And I don't necessarily know if I like them being Olympic sports. Two in particular I want to talk about. One of them is surfing. Surfing is now an Olympic sport. Surfing. Your thoughts, Hugh?
Like that. I think that's stupid. Surfing, a sport. Are they really serious right now, man? We don't. Hey, they might have it on TV. They might consider it as a sport. I've never seen or consider it as a sport. I just feel like that was just something that they do halftime or just something just for fun. shits and giggles. I definitely don't feel like that's technically a sport. If y'all want to go there, man, why don't we just put dodgeball as a sport? I feel like that's more of a sport than surfing.
And keep in mind, they did put in an application for dodgeball. You do know that, right?
I'd rather see that than surfing.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing, y'all. Surfing, in my mind, is not a sport for Olympic consumption, okay? Think about it. What surfing is you getting on said surfboard, getting in the water, and riding the waves. Now, Japan is actually known for some of its ways in regards to surfing. So it may make out all right in terms of that for this year. But remember, the next set of Olympics in Paris, France. Last time I checked, they didn't have a lot of places where you can go surf in France. So more than likely, they'll make up a scenario to where they'll have some place and they're able to manufacture man-made waves so that these people can surf. That takes away half of the whole thrill of it. Here's the thing. Part of what makes the surfing in terms of it being interesting is like, okay, there they are in the ocean. Damn, that's a big ass wave. I wonder what's in that water. Is there sharks in there? Is there jellyfish and all that? What if they get to surfing and they fall and all of a sudden, it stung me? That makes it a little bit more interesting to me, okay? But in terms of actual them riding the wave, how do you judge that, y'all? Okay, he rode it. Fast 6 seconds. Oh, he fell off. 8.6. Okay, he rode it. Oh, he rode it all the way to the shore. Perfect 10. I mean,
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know how they're gonna judge that.
I ain't with it. I wouldn't want to go. I definitely wouldn't want to go surfing. That's too much water for me, Pat. I like to sit near the water. Hell, I might even get on a boat and take a cruise or whatnot. But actually being in that much water and then I go and wipe out and the board hit me in the face and stuff in the water, no, I couldn't deal with all that. Not me.
No, absolutely not.
And I wouldn't want to go. Now, Miss Pat, you sleeping on hiking. Hiking's
Nope.
not bad. Hiking is not bad in certain areas. Now, if you're going into some type of deep jungle forest and stuff like that, hiking, oh hell no, I'm good on that. And we just hiking along, and then the anaconda come from the tree and snatch your ass. No, but your basic hiking trail, a nice little park or something like that, I'm cool with that. Like we go to Ridge and do a little hiking. Okay, that's okay. But in some outlandish, wild, terraneous forest or some African safari type land, oh no, hiking easy. So yeah, that's I don't consider a sport. Another thing that's being introduced into this Olympics, skateboarding. Now here's the thing. I can almost see that. Remember, we do have the speed skating that goes on, and now they got the rollerblade skating that they introduced in the last Olympics. That's kind of a sport to skate real fast like that. I get it. But in terms of the skateboarding, here's my thing. They already got a whole Olympics designed for that. It's called the X Games. That's all that stuff, the tricks on the skateboards and the bikes and the snowmobiles and whatnot. And that snowmobiling tricks, that should be outlandish. They actually flip the whole damn snowmobile and fall back on that boy. That's kind of sweet. I would rather see that as an Olympic sport than skateboarding. Everybody damn skateboard, all these little kids. And it ain't just white kids. Don't think that skateboarding is just a white kid sport. It is not. There's a skate park here in Detroit, and they be getting it in. But that being said, no, I'm not necessarily trying to see that as an Olympic. I mean, yeah, there'll be some sweet little trips they do and all that other stuff, but no, I can't see a Russian skateboarder. No, I just can't see me getting into that like that.
I believe the karate. That's about it.
Right now, I think again to make that interesting as an Olympic sport, the skateboard, if they could have some like tricked out skateboards that glow in the dark, or shoot little lasers and stuff like that, that'll kind of be cool. If you had a board that was white and blue and it kind of glowed while you was doing your routine, or you could do that shit in the dark or something like that, like some Mad Max Thunderdome or Tron type shit. Okay, that I could probably get into. But basic skateboarding,
no, not feeling it.
I don't think so. Now, of course, they got the other sports that people don't really harp upon. I think they should give more credence to in regards to the Olympics. For example, they got the archery. That's kind of sweet because some of it is the hitting of the target, but some of it they hit moving targets. Some of it they do trick shots with the bow and arrow. Like I said, the rare time they show that, it's kind of deep. So yeah, I would like to see stuff like that when they do the Aikido with all the wrestling moves and whatnot, and the throws and flips and all that. That's kind of sweet. I would like to see them show that more. I would definitely like to see more when they do the actual weightlifting competitions. Cause man, it looked like they said how much was on there? 800 pounds. Ain't nobody lifting that for real. And they come up, and that person might be that damn big, and they be like, bam! And you be like, damn! He just lifted 3 of me. And then they, and they just get so hyped when they do it. They be like, ah, ah, ah. That type of roids, yeah. And it ain't just the men, the women be like that too. Be like, she's about to get 600 pounds. And you be like, you be like, yeah, girl, you did that shit. So yeah, I definitely like to see more of those. Again, steroids, yeah. But those I would prefer them to show in the Olympics. You got some good sports to show. Just highlight them more. Stop adding all this other stuff for the new age folks. You know what's gonna come next? The Olympic PlayStation team. The what's that damn game?
Madden?
No, not Madden. The one all the kids play.
On that.
Yeah, the Fortnite team. That part.
Fortnite, man. I hate this.
Fortnite. The Russian Fortnite team. They're cheating. You can't do that on the real game. That type of stuff. The Olympics should be certain sports, and that's it. All these extra things they're trying to add that are not sports to bring other interest into it. We don't need all that. Y'all just learn to like the Olympic sports we have. Damn it. Yeah, that's it, Miss Pat Fortnite. Ain't nobody trying to see that in the Olympic game. It's crazy that they actually paying kids to play that shit now.
He 2 outs away. It was a controversial out at the plate, but I think he still got that out. It's 2 outs to go.
Oh, Sookie. Well, we almost there, yo. We might have another perfect game tonight. And keep in mind, the White Sox, they always seem to be involved in some of these. They share people pitch perfect games and no hitters. They've had a share of them being pitched against them. If you remember way back in the day, Jack Morris pitched his first no-hitter against the White Sox. Nolan Ryan pitched a couple of his no-hitters against the White Sox, as I recall. They've had Tom Seaver, I believe, when he was a member of the White Sox, had a couple at least close to no-nos, as I recall. Milt Wilcox back in the day for the Tigers went into the 9th inning with a no-hitter against the White Sox one night. I remember that because that next night they had the famous riot where they burnt the disco records. I'm that old, y'all.
That play was so close. It was like inches away. He almost messed up that perfect game too, man. They was lollygagging on getting a blooper play, but I definitely feel like he's out. That was a good play, but he literally beat him by inches.
Yep. So yeah, we giving it to y'all live as we checking out the possibility of a perfect game this evening while we there, and he was checking that out for us. I will give you some of the updates in regards to the winners and losers this evening. Right now, we got the Warriors thumping the Thunder, 125-81. They beating the stank out the Thunder right now in the third quarter. So yeah, that's a wrap. The Clippers beat the Pistons by 2 tonight. Good effort by the Pistons. Good effort by the Pistons. Here's the thing. The Pistons actually have had a lot of games this year that they played teams close. But the thing is, in the fourth quarter, that's where the Pistons always seem to fade. And that's how they lose a lot of these games. When we can get to the point where we start winning a lot of those, that's when the Pistons will start coming up. Until then, we'll be one of the worst in the league. Remember, the Pistons have the worst record in the East. They have the second worst record in the NBA behind, of course, them damn Timberwolves. Tigers are in the bottom of the ninth, 6-3. Okay, you got the Dodgers winning 2-0 early on. Let's see, the Nationals, they actually won tonight. They beat the Cardinals 6-0, so they're doing a little better. The Royals beat the Angels. Yeah, the Angels ain't been looking good these last week or so.
No, got hurt, man.
Yeah, the injuries are definitely coming.
I was talking to you about that. They starting to slip now.
Right? The Giants actually beat the Reds tonight 3-0. That's a bit of a surprise. Although the Giants are at home. And the Red Sox beat the Twins in 7. That's interesting. So either there must have been some type of rain delay, or because there's a curfew, keep that in mind. There is a curfew in Minnesota. Perhaps they had to end it early because considering what happened in regards to the case this evening, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more civil unrest there tonight in Minnesota. So maybe erring on the side of caution is why they ended that game. Pirates won this evening 5-1 over the Padres. Pirates ain't all that great, so they pretty much stole that one. You got the Mets beating the Phillies tonight 5-1. Not a surprise. And the Rangers beat the Rays. That is a surprise. In Tampa Bay, no less. Okay, in terms of the NBA, the Bucks did whoop up on the lonely Timberwolves. So, yeah, they looking at another number one pick possibly. Keep in mind how many number one picks that the Timberwolves have had in the last 10 years and have done what with most of them? Like the great Michael Olowokandi. Remember that particular individual?
Oh, my God, Olowokandi.
Right. Anthony Bennett from a few years ago that they had. I forget the other big man that they had that was a number one pick that ended up being who was that? Kwame Brown? No, he wasn't their number one pick, but yeah, he was a Timberwolf at one point, and he didn't amount to much.
Guy with the Golden State Warriors right now.
Oh, you talk about oh man. Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins.
But remember, they did not actually take him as a number one pick. Remember, he was Cleveland's number one pick, and they traded to get him.
Yeah.
Right. The Magic beat the Bulls this evening. You got the Knicks beating the Pelicans. We actually got some tennis going on this evening. Nobody of note to really talk about. NHL. We mentioned them. That's enough. Okay. The Champions League, we got Real Madrid whooping up on Liverpool 0-0. For soccer, any type of score is that. You get anything over 2-0, it's a blowout. So that being said, Philadelphia in the Champions League beat Sarsaparilla 4-0. So yeah, they whooped that butt.
We won our way.
Oh, Sookie. Okay, tonight in men's tennis, the Joker, that is Djokovic, he won 6-4, 6-2 in the Rolex Monte Carlos Masters Challenge out there in Paris. They are now playing in the clay, basically the clay season out there in tennis land, because in another, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to be playing the French Open. And you know that is the clay circuit of the Big Four tennis matches that they have every year. You know, Australia is more or less that hot summer heat down under. Then you get the clay courts there in the French Open. You get Wimbledon with the grass courts, and then you get that solid concrete going on in the U.S. Open. So there's that. Nadal is also in that tournament. He won 6-2, 6-1. So more than likely they'll play each other as they have so many times before.
So many times.
I mean, them two dudes, they done made over at least $100 million a piece playing tennis. You do realize that. When you think about your children being athletes, here's a couple things I think you should consider. Have them be either a soccer player, a tennis player, or a golfer. Them people getting paid, y'all. And golfers, they not working that hard. You win one tournament, you done made a couple $1 million. So the rest of the year, you can kind of fuck around and half win this one and only play Friday, Saturday, and that one. Because some of these tournaments, you get paid just to show up. They pay you to play. What sport do you know they pay you just to play, regardless of whether you that good or not? You know?
They pay him a nice amount of money too.
Exactly. So yeah, we kind of putzing around because we want to see if we get this perfect game going this evening. So that's why we kind of stalling a bit here. We at the bottom of the ninth here. The Chicago pitcher Rondon, he is in the midst of pitching a perfect game, possibly.
Man, he won. It's 2-2.
It's
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
It is now 8-0 in that game. So there's something if he does pull it off. And we should know any second now. All right, we now got
2-2.
All right, wait for your live, folks. Oh, Miss Pat said her phone is dying. Good night, Miss Pat.
Good night, Miss Pat.
For Lucas Giolito's no-hitter, nobody was able to take video in the ballpark. Tonight on 3-2. Luplos.
That's good. I thought he hit that off the ball.
All right, we got a full count, y'all. Some got to give. Congrats on that instant perfect game. But the no-hitter's still in check. We fired out another one. We still at 3-2.
Believing.
3-2, 2 outs.
Remember. Focusing. 3-2. Rodon. To third. Moncada.
Got it. I thought he blew it at first. Rodon got it. Second perfect game of the season.
Live here on the show, Gametime Audible. A perfect game. All right. It is over.
And that man went through a lot, man. He had shoulder injuries, elbow injuries, and he persevered, man. I'm surprised. At first, I thought that it was going to get through, man. You know, he needs to give a lot of credit to the third baseman, too, because that high corner, man, that ball was coming in hot. And to get the ball and to actually be able to throw the ball in time to get the guy out, man, big ups to Rondon, man. Rodon got the second perfect game of the year, man, so that's amazing.
Well, actually, let me correct you there, Hugh. That first game this season was not a perfect game. It was a no-hitter. So this is actually the first perfect game of the season, but the second no-hit game of the season.
Oh.
But, yeah, Rodon, basically the numbers are he pitched 114 pitches, 75 of them for strikes. He had 9 innings, of course, and 7. Of course, walked nobody and gave up no runs. So congratulations to that brother. Rodon from the White Sox. Perfect game.
Not only did they get the perfect, the no-hitter, but to beat them 8-0, man, that's impressive, man. It seems like the White Sox starting to come alive, man. And that was one of the low-key teams I thought was going to do well, too, this year. You know, you got Jose Abreu always hitting the ball out the park, and then Tim Anderson, and they got a lot of good young players, man.
Right, and remember, in the last 3 seasons, the team that has hit the most home runs is the Minnesota Twins. The team that hits the second most home runs, the White Sox. But in terms of wins and losses, the team that has won the most games when their team hits multiple home runs in the game, the Chicago White Sox. So if the score is 8-0, more than likely they did have multiple home runs in that game. Also interesting fact that the vast majority of perfect games in the history of the major leagues were pitched by the pitcher in his home ballpark. So that's something to consider. Not so much so in terms of no-hitters. No-hitters, they are slightly more in terms of home and away. But in terms of perfect games, they tend to more likely times be pitched in that person's ballpark. So maybe it's the crowd that kind of gears them up to do what they need to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they didn't have a big crowd, but it was enough people there to give him that energy.
Right. And so at least so far in terms of this year's 2 no-hit games, both of them were pitched by the pitcher in their home ballpark. So keep in mind, we are April 14th. Season only started 2-3 weeks ago. So this is going to be a trend. As I recall, a few years ago, we had as many as 12 no-hit games and several near attempts. So we might be on the verge of something.
Yeah, man, because it's early in the season to get those two, man. I'm just really excited to see what's going to happen the rest of the year. I don't think people get credit, man. That's hard to do to get no hitters and
Right.
perfect games and just things of that nature, man. Cycles, man. Them cycles hard as hell to get. I don't think people appreciate those, man, as much. It's definitely if you're not an average baseball person who watch it, but man, you got to put in a lot of effort to get those opportunities, man, to get that. You got to seize the moment, man. But this things is like you probably never do again in your life.
Exactly. Because think about it. And usually the thing that always messes up people's bid for the cycle is that triple. Because in the end, ideally, you got to be somebody powerful enough to hit home run, so you get that part of it, but quick enough to hit something that goes in a gap, and you have the speed to turn on. Remember, in terms of actual hits, the less likely hit that you will get is not a home run, but a triple. On average, people in terms of their hitting average maybe 2 to 3 triples a year, while on the other hand they average 8 to 9 home runs, and that's basically an average across the league. So in order for you to get that doggone cycle, you got to hit the triple. So more than likely, the people that usually get the cycle, they usually get that triple out the way early on. So think about it. After you done ran the bases all game, being on the bases all game, because you done got to hit every time. When it comes to that last couple at bats and you need that triple, you got to have that leg strength to leg it on out. Particularly if you're somebody that has played in the field and you playing in like a slugfest or something like that. So you done been on the outfield a lot. You done ran a lot that way. Then you done ran the bases a lot. Later on in the game, you may not have the energy to get that triple.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. That triple is the hardest thing I believe. Is if you get enough, like if you got enough power, you can hit a home run. A single won't be that hard. If you hit the ball good enough, man, to get a good bounce, you can get a double. But that triple, man, it takes
Right.
everything.
And then of course, let's say you play in a ballpark like Yankee Stadium or Texas Stadium, where basically it's not conducive to people hitting in the gaps and whatnot. Basically, either you hit it long and gone, or you hit it kind of short and there. I mean, Fenway Park, another example. You're not gonna see
Oh,
too much
that green
because
monster.
of how short the outfield walls are and whatnot.
It's hard to play out there in that green monster too. If it hit, it can bounce off and you can catch the ball and throw it that fast, man. It's like it's kind of an unfair advantage for the home team.
Exactly. So yeah, like I said, so we talked some baseball here. We witnessed some baseball history here on the show. That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. But that being said, it's almost that time, Hugh, nearing 11 o'clock. So, of course, we're going to start to wrap it up, y'all. We thank you guys very much for your participation, for y'all checking out the show, as Hugh always does, and I will this time around. We encourage you guys, if we are talking about enough of what you want to talk about, let us know. If we're not talking about some of the sports you want to talk about, let us know that as well. Give us an understanding as, okay, I like the show, but I want y'all to talk more of this or more of that, or not so much this and that. We need that input and feedback. And what you can do to give us that feedback, you can get in touch with us here at the Nighthawk Network by my lovely email address here. That is nighthnetwork313 at gmail.com. Again, that's nighthnetwork313 at gmail.com. According to what I know, I can report that next week we'll actually have a number that you can call and there are some comments, and we will probably use that number for call-ins to the show. The Nighthawk Network will have its own phone number that you can reach and leave messages or call into certain shows here at the Nighthawk Network. So be looking forward to that in the very near future, my friends. We're also working on a website and things of that nature. So, we are trying to upgrade not only the network, but all our shows as well. So anything that would be encouraging to help or you would like for us to implement, we are very open to do so. Okay, I will give you the last words. What do you have to say, Hugh?
Y'all already know what to do. If I can say it once, I'm gonna say it again. Go to that blog page, Pure to the Game. I talk anything, everything sports, man. Whatever you want to talk about, or if you have anything you want to share, talk to me about, man. It's our show, man. I feel like if you want to go on that blog page, come and hit me up, man. I'm gonna bring all the news to you for the most part, all the updated news. And I usually have it before the ESPNs and the Bleacher Report. So yeah, check out the page, man. You might find some stuff on there that'll interest you for sure. But at the same time, I want to give a shout out to all the people who have been tuning in to the blog, because it was saying that I had like 485 people tuned in and 285, reviews or people reactions to, the page. So that means a lot, man. That basically keep me going and let me know that what I'm doing out here is reaching y'all and is definitely giving y'all the sports knowledge y'all need. So I definitely appreciate y'all.
Yep, and I appreciate you and all the other people and members of the Nighthawk Network. We appreciate you guys as well. So that being, we're going to go ahead and tune out, y'all. Thanks again for tuning into the show. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more Game Time Audible to talk to you guys about in the world of sports. Be tuned in tomorrow. We will probably have a show that we call The Remix with your boy Derek. We'll be talking about the latest in regards to what's going on in the police situations and anything else that comes up between now and then. I am, of course, doing things on the Bigo platform, as we often talk about. I will be starting to have a listing of those things on the Nighthawk Network information page starting next week. So if you want to catch some of that and you have access to Bigo, you'll be able to go and look at the schedule and see where you can catch me or some of my other partners that are part of the Nighthawk Network that are on Bigo and see some of their activities as well. So we will do that for you guys. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We're about to head on out. Remember, as my man Stan Mason always says, life, my friends, is not a Trump rally. COVID is still real, y'all. Make sure y'all wearing that mask. Keeping it safe, baby. Because in the end, we want you to come back here next week, and we are looking forward to seeing you then. Shout out to my cousin, Seville Buck. You catch this later on. You missed us, baby. I told you what was goody. I hit out you, man. Is you running from her? You still mad Syracuse lost the national championship? You mad about them Royals? They suck, man. They suck. That ain't your team. I already know you're going to say that. But anyway, hopefully we'll catch you next week and some of our other folks. Until then, we about to head on up out of here, man. You know what to do, you. Throw them 2 fingers up. That part right there. Peace. Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network presentation.